You are what you eat, both physically and spiritually. In the coming episodes, this dynamic podcast will focus on what we as people take into our physical body, as well as our spiritual body. Scripture says that mankind shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. Matthew 4:4. Each episode is designed to wake up the called and shake up the dry bones scattered around the world, for the purpose of opening the eye of what is taken into the physical and spiritual body. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thy eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. But if thy eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? Matthew 6:22 and 23.
Shalom, family. I'm Samson,
Queese.
and welcome to another episode of Iron Sharpening Iron. Marquise, Shalom, Mark. How you doing?
Good, man. How about you?
Blessed with no stress and mess. Waiting for it to manifest.
Yeah, it's been a while. You know, they got this cold flu thing going around, so I had to take some time. Get my voice right, get my mind right. You know how it is. I wanted to get into the scriptures first and foremost before we go any further. What Iron Sharpens Iron is all about. The scripture that you put Iron Sharpens Iron in is what?
Proverbs 27:17.
Right. And also it's 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 23. I pray God, your whole spirit, soul, and body be preserved, blameless until the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. So this is not just a podcast; it's just a ministry, a YouTube channel, whatever you want to call us. As we feel led to talk about certain topics, issues, our goal is one, to edify one another. I always say truth doesn't have to be defended; it just has to be spoken. So we just try to speak truth. We try to edify. That's our goal, and sharpen one another as we grow in our development as people, as men, as human beings, as Christians. And just hopefully what we say and when we spit at you will edify you in some way, shape, or form, and lead you to research things. And we may be wrong, we may be right, but Bible says my people suffer for the lack of knowledge. And we don't want to be all knowledgeable and puff up thinking we know everything when we don't. But we want to lead you and lead us and lead people to research and study and find out some things. There's a lot of information out there. So
and I will say this: if you look at our black leaderships today,
what black lead? I hope you're talking about rappers and actors.
I was more referring to like your Jesse Jacksons, your Al Sharptons, your Oprah Winfreys.
Like I said, what black leaders?
Yeah, if they're still alive, then more than likely they're not leading us, because you had to be a threat to be a black leader. Think about it. Your Fred Hamptons, your Malcolm X's, your MLKs, they're dead. They're dead. Why? Because we can't organize. They won't allow us to organize. You understand what I'm saying? And if you had an inkling of what J. Edgar Hoover said, the Black Messiah, so-called Black Messiah complex, they had to take you out.
Mm.
So I think we have to be mindful of that. I think we have to be mindful of the fact that if these leaders, these black leaders, are still alive, then that means they're not doing nothing for us.
So,
So what topic we touching on today?
we wanted to briefly talk about a subject that I found interesting when I was in the grocery store. You know, just walking around getting some groceries real quick, and I ran across a sign that you see all the time. But the way my mind works, sometimes I always put contrast to what I see and what I hear and what I see. I always put contrast to it. Sometimes, not all the time. But as I was walking in the store, I saw a sign that says "low price," and it was like a aisle or a bale rather of items, low price this, low price that. It was cereal, syrup, um, Hawaiian punch drinks or all these fruit drinks and stuff like that. And as I was walking by, something in my mind said, "Yeah, low price comes with low health." So it kind of stuck with me as I was still in the grocery store. So I'm like, what's the cost of something? What is the cost of something that's low price? It comes, in my opinion, it comes with low health. Because anything that's cheap that you can afford, 9 times out of 10 may not be the best for you. I give you a story real quick. I remember years ago, 20 something years ago, being a single man, I'd come home from work, go to the grocery store, pick up some things, and I remember this burrito, this frozen burrito that I used to get. It was freaking huge, and man, it was delicious. I tell you that. But it only cost $1. So I used to get like 2 or 3 of them and stuff like that. Come home, this that and the other, and it was delicious, man. And every time I look at like the ingredients or calories or something like that, everything changes, man. I've done it so many times in my life. I eat something that was good and mess around and look at the ingredients or look at how many calories it is and stuff like that.
Right.
And then I just be like, God knows what in the world. And then at that moment, you have what do you do with the knowledge that you have? Do you continue down the path or do you try to change? So nevertheless, this thing had one of them had like 936 something calories, just one. And I was tearing them up on a weekly basis. It'll cost $1. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So like,
yeah.
so so I just say that to say this, like, what's the cost of stuff? What's the cost of low cost, low health?
It has to be like in terms of economics, you would think it has to also apply to supply and demand. If so, what I mean by that, if they didn't have it, would we crave it? Would we want it? And I truly
you
believe
have
the
to
answer
acquire a
is
taste for something you've never tasted, right?
right. And I truly believe the answer is no. I truly believe they had to shove like your Pepsis and your Coca-Cola. Think about back in the 50s, Coca-Cola had cocaine in it. They had to make this palatable. So the supply and demand really didn't apply,
And one of the
right?
main ingredients that from Coca-Cola comes from Africa. I found that out from an African who told me that.
All right.
But
So
go ahead.
I was saying that. So regarding supply and demand, for something to be cheap, it has to be heavy supply and low demand. And for something to be expensive, it has to be low supply and heavy demand.
Say
So
that
the
again. Say that
question,
again.
so the principle behind supply and demand is if you got a lot of it and people don't want it, you make it cheap to get rid of it.
True.
If you don't have a lot of it and people want it, you got to raise the prices up to weed out the ones who really don't want it. And you think of let's say when COVID first hit back in 2019, and stuff was at a scarcity, toilet paper. I mean, I seen so many skits that show people selling toilet paper for like $20 a roll. Why? Because the demand was high and the supply was low. So in regards to these fast food restaurants on every corner, how is it still cheap when the demand isn't high and the supply isn't high per se? If we're in a food crisis, how is it still able to be cheap? I remember about 15 years ago, the franchisees of Burger King, they were suing Burger King, a corporation, because Burger King was trying to come out with their dollar menu to compete with McDonald's, and the franchise owners had to abide by these bylaws of the corporation. So they were selling these dollar menu items like the cheeseburger for $1, but it cost the franchise owners $1.10 to purchase it, and they was in an uproar. So it just goes. What's the agenda here? They're not operating off economical principles of supply and demand. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
It's what Pastor Darby said regarding, like, why would a company like Target push the agenda of gender neutral bathrooms, knowing it was gonna turn away some of their customers, which means their profit was going to be lower. Yet they still push the gender neutral bathrooms in every Target. Like, they were willing to take a loss just to push this agenda. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Burger King was willing to take a loss. The franchise owners wasn't, but the corporation was willing to take a loss just to push this agenda.
Yeah. Well, it affects us mainly because, I've told you this and I'll say it again. We're not in a natural dietary. We're not eating the natural stuff that we supposed to be. But nevertheless, everything in America is pretty much going to or is what's the term I'm looking for? Not genetically modified or synthetic. Engineered in some way, shape, or form. Some of the meats we're not eating isn't even meats, and I think by now everybody should know that. But one of the what I just said about the Coca-Cola is the cola nut is the seed from a specific plant, a species of plants. These cola species are tree native of the tropic rainforest of Africa. So that's where the term cola comes from.
Interesting.
So it's a cola with a K, Kola, cola. So
interesting.
So it had cocaine in it, and it had the cola from Africa. So figure that out. But so low budget eating versus low health. How are we drawing a correlation between low budget eating and low health?
So if you don't have the money, so I told you, it was one day I was on my lunch break and I was looking for something healthy to eat. And it's funny, I had to get in my car and drive about 3 miles just to acquire something healthy to eat. And on the way there, I passed about 2 McDonald's, Popeyes, Taco Bell. So you're talking about conveniency. You know what I mean? It's so convenient to pay $1 for a cheeseburger, French fries, a drink, and dessert compared to $5 for a salad.
So I'll ask this. The average American, are we trying to get full or are we trying to get nourished?
Oh, that was the question you asked. Are we dying? Are we living to eat or eating to live? Right?
Yeah, I guess you could put it that way. So are we as Americans trying to get full, or are we trying to get nourished?
You tell me, Chef. You've been in the game for 30 plus years. What have you seen? What's the trend you've seen in the 30 years?
The trend I've seen in 30 years, 30 plus years, I've seen and tasted things that used to be that aren't anymore. For instance, if a proprietor wanted to sell me something, a different type of steak or a different type of meat, or um, they would come and they would set up their demos and stuff like that, and like the nutritional value of what they were trying to sell me was so blatant, like it was right in front of your face. However, it was cheaper. It
Give
was
me an
I
example
stay away.
of
I
the meat.
stay. Hmm?
Give me an example of the food product that the
Name a meat. Name a meat.
Ribs, baby back ribs.
Baby back ribs. Okay, the McRib. How come the McRib pops up every 3 to 6 months or so? How come it's shaped like it has bones in it, but when you bite it, it's boneless?
It
If
just
you go to a $100 grocery store, a Harris Teeter, a Whole Food, a Lowe's, or anything like that, and you go to the meat department and you buy um, short ribs and stuff like that, you cook it like you should. You know, marinate it like you should, this, that, and the other. You eat it, and then you go get a McRib, and you tell me what the difference is. You can taste the difference. That's not meat. There's no freaking way that's meat. I've never tasted a
wow.
McRib,
So
but
when you got stuff
I've tasted
and
things like that, like when people set up their demos and stuff like that and want me to buy that product. I've seen that, and also, like I said, the nutritional value isn't even there. So hamburgers, just regular hamburgers, frozen meats and stuff like that, or when you're doing a order guide or order list and stuff like that, and you're reading the difference between one burger compared to another burger that you're trying to buy.
mhm.
It's 40 in a case, and it says injected with such and such, such and such, or injected with phosphates. Shrimp is injected with phosphates. Chicken is injected with antibiotics, and what's the other one? Ribone flavor.
Yeah, that was about to ask you about the rib meat. So that when it says it got rib meat in it, they're not talking about like meat from a rib. They're talking about
No, they're
something
talking
else.
about it's flavor. Basically, what they're doing is an ingested with flavor for it to, so when you bite into it, it would taste like the chicken that you're familiar with.
Got
You know
it.
what I'm saying? So instead of you having a farm, you say, hey family, we're having chicken today. You go out, you kill a chicken, you pluck it and cook it and stuff like that. Has more, it may not taste like the chicken that you're used to tasting from the grocery store, but it will have more nutritional value.
And this is why we need a lawyer as a special guest, because I would love to ask this lawyer, how is this not false advertisement? How is clone meat not a class action lawsuit?
Well, first and
Especially,
foremost, and I don't want to sound rhetorical, but I think we did a couple shows on this before. But first and foremost, you don't know what you're eating because the USDA won't even label it as that. So you just like basically shuffling, like you show them the ace of spade, you put it in the deck, and you just shuffle it up, and you put it down, you figure out where it's at, but you have no idea what you're eating, or we have no idea what we're eating because the USDA won't label it. So it could be
wow.
real meat or this, that, and the other, and it could be genetically modified stuff right next to it, and you never know. You never know. It's all mixed in. And another thing you asked me, give you an example of what was the question? Give you an example of.
Yeah, because you were saying how like the stuff you order
Yeah,
today.
yeah. Produce. Produce doesn't last as fast as it used to, as long as it used to. I see that throughout my entire career. When you used to buy a tomato or lettuce or cucumbers or pineapples or melons or anything like that, it used to last a while. Oranges,
Mhm,
apples, bananas. I mean, the list goes on and on. It used to last a certain period of time before you had the chance to use it.
mhm.
However, you go to the grocery store and you buy a tomato now, 2 3 days, it's already changing.
And
Same
as
thing
a
with
chef, you can see
cucumbers.
this. As a
Yeah,
chef, you can see this. You can
it's
see
certain things you just don't take notice of. You see how fast a banana changes, like it before, before it rots out. Uh, Onions,
now. Can
potatoes.
can you see this? Like, let's say somebody like me who hasn't been in the field of food for 30 years. Could I see this with my naked eye? Can I say, like, I know you showed me a picture, for example, you cracked 5 eggs in a pot, and 3 of them look different than the other 2.
Hmm.
If you hadn't told me that, I wouldn't have noticed that those 3 was bigger. Those 3 egg yolks was bigger and more yellow. And you told me that was a GMO.
There's no
Um,
such thing as the GMO egg, but
so what's
what
the
they're
proper
doing,
terminology?
I don't know the proper terminology. Um, I will have to look that up and research it. However, what they're doing is they're making fake eggs. So it's not even genetically modified. It's just like it's not even real. So, you know what I mean?
Like that TikTok of the Asians making fake lettuce. You
Yeah,
seen that
something
one
like that. I've seen that.
when
But
they
like I
making
said, you
fake
don't know.
lettuce?
We got to
But
look at
wait. The question I was asking, can somebody like me see that if I don't have that background? Should I be
it's
looking for that? And if so, what should I be looking for then? Some stuff that's supposed to be all natural and not, or
it's not even about background. Like the word says, my people suffer for the lack of knowledge. So it's more about knowledge. Just because I've seen it, you know, I can see the difference in changes over the last 30 plus years or so. But it's all about knowledge. I don't I don't acclaim or even try to think I know everything about food. I'm always learning, always reading, always studying.
Mhm.
But if you have a certain knowledge of something and you've seen or you saw a video or read a book or did some study about anything,
Mhm.
and when something comes up, you can say, "Wait a minute, that's not right. That's not right." So you juxtapose the two. You know what I'm saying? You juxtapose what you've learned or studied or know versus what's being told to you, what's been fed to you, and what you see, and then you come to a conclusion.
Wow.
And you and like they always say, follow the money. I saw decades ago, and I thought it was a joke about featherless chickens, about KFC, about
Right.
featherless chicken. I thought it was a joke, but now, 15 years later, it's not a joke.
So from what you've seen now, from back then, 30 years ago till now, what do you suggest we try to keep an eye on or try to stay away from? Like, for instance, the egg. Should we stay away from a certain brand or carton of eggs, or should that egg say something on a carton to let us know that, hey, this is probably a clone or fake egg?
No, I don't think there's any real way of telling. Just like if it's true, if this is true that they are making eggs, whatever chemicals or whatever is being used, if that is true, then you have to start with knowledge first. You know, I know a lot of people get banned from social media and videos get pulled down all the time because they say it's misinformation. Well, if it's misinformation, it shouldn't hurt nobody. The worst thing that could happen is people stop eating eggs, right? What's the problem? If it's just misinformation.
But it remind me of Oprah back in the 90s where
Yeah, what
I
she
think
talked about ground beef would kill you.
mad
And
cow
they tried
disease
to
was
sue her.
going out. Yeah, but because that one phrase she said, they claim it dropped the beef industry dramatically and people started losing money.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and they tried to
You
sue her
remember?
over it. But she
Mm-hmm.
spoke an opinion. You know what I'm saying? She spoke an opinion or her opinion. And they tried to sue her over that when she said ground
Because
beef
it's
would kill
messing
you.
up it remind me of the scripture with Christ where he cast
The
the
devils into the
demons
swine.
into the swine, and the people, instead of applauding what he did, how he freed that man from his demons, from his pronoun demons. We are legion. When Yahshua cast the demons out of that man that was cutting himself into the swine, and the swine ran over the cliff, you'll think the people who was keeping the swine will be happy and proud and applauding Christ and thanking Yah that this man is made whole again, but they got mad at him. They got mad at him, told the town on him, and try to throw him in jail. And it's funny that's how it is with whistleblowers nowadays.
Probably for messing up their stock and their food.
Mm-hmm.
My
Like
bacon,
Paul,
my bacon started swimming.
I think it happened to Paul with the Paul and Barnabas when they was going through the market, and the witch kept following them, telling them they disciples of the Most High, and start following them. And Paul kept shooting her away, like, woman, be gone, until he turned around and cast the demon out of her, and she couldn't do fortune telling no more. The people of the town, the men of the town, got mad. Yeah. Told the high priest on them, and they got thrown in jail, I believe, or was about to be thrown in jail. So this is the world we're living in right now. If you're a whistleblower, there's no protection. You might, especially, how can you be protected if the FDA, the Food Drug Administration, is the one that's propagating this? They're the one that's advertising this, and you whistleblow against them. Who can protect you if it's the government? A house divided can't stand. So is the government gonna try the government? Yeah. Is the government gonna
call
sue
the cops
government?
on the police?
Yeah, I said, like, did you know if you're a federal worker, you cannot sue the government?
No, I didn't know that.
Who is going to protect you? So, but yeah, this is an interesting topic, man. This was needed, definitely needed.
But you asked me some solutions. One is knowledge. If you don't know better, you can't do better. And have a understanding of what you're putting in your body. You know, it's a saying, watch what you say. So, you know, if you have to watch what you say, how can you watch what you say when words are truly invisible, but you know the ramifications of what you say? You know, they used to say that to kids. You better watch what you say. You better watch the words that are coming out of your mouth. So
watch your mouth.
Watch your mouth. Mm-hmm. So just have knowledge, and if you're really looking to change, there's no way that I've learned that you can 100% completely avoid this dietary system that we're on, health wise and stuff like that. But you can reduce, and you know, we're walking around with heart disease. We're walking around with diabetes. We're walking around with, you know, what else? High blood pressure.
High blood pressure.
You know, we're walking around with all these afflictions.
Recently for me, gout. My uric acid is high. It's funny, you turn a certain age and all this stuff start happening. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like,
since you can't turn back time, since you can't change the past, at least you can change your future. So start with knowledge. What are you taking in your body? Know what you're taking in your body. Do you need it? You know, do you need the high fructose corn syrups? Do you need the sugar? Do you need your coffee in the morning? Do you need, or is it just a want? Are you just craving something? Or is it that actual need? So start with those two things from my perspective. Knowledge and what do I really need to live and to be healthy, because what you put in your body ultimately determines how you feel, what you say, how you think, what you watch. And that's what this show is all about. You know, what you
I always said when I had my entrepreneurial spirit, and I believe I still do, but I always said, I had this saying where you give the people what they need for $1, but you give them what they want for $2. They'll pay more for what they want than for what they need.
Sure.
So it's critical, like you said, just be mindful of what you're putting into your body. And like you said, do you need this? Because if it's a need versus a want, and that, I believe that's the trend we're going to right now as a world, not just as a country, but as a world. We're going into necessities instead of luxuries. You know what I mean? We're
Yeah.
going into stuff that needs to be promised and stuff that need to give pleasure.
And also, when
So
you live that lifestyle, I just want to interject. When you live that lifestyle, it just popped into my head. There are your body is made of so many chemicals, endorphins, and stuff like that. When you live that type of lifestyle, it becomes habitual. So, like when you stop eating the cheeseburgers or the French fries or the sugars or the whatever, your body really does start chemically craving that. So it may have a reaction in a sense. A mental reaction, a physical reaction. So,
like sugar,
detox.
they said sugar is worse than crack cocaine. The addictiveness of sugar is on another level. You know?
So, detox. Have some knowledge of what you have some knowledge of what you're putting into your body. What do you need? And detox every now and then, detox and fast for a day, 6 to 6, full day. Just change the balance, detox for a week, do a cleanse, reset your body, your body.
What's the benefits of increasing your water intake? I'm seeing a
Oh
lot of things
man.
now, and look, I was doing it back I say about 8 years ago, where a gentleman came up to me and said, there's the benefits of drinking cold water. And I was like, no. He said, he gave me an example. He said, cold water helps you lose weight. I said, how the heck does cold water help you lose weight and not warm water or hot water? He said it's because one of the things that cold water is beneficial is it lowers your body temperature. Yeah, every human body has to maintain a certain body heat. And what cold water does is it lowers your body temperature, and your body has to work harder.
Metabolize. It
Yeah,
boosts metabolism.
that's how it boosts metabolism. It has to increase the heat back to its homeostasis level, and by increasing the heat, it speeds up the metabolism.
Yeah.
So just drinking water, not just to flush out your kidneys, not just to do a cleanse like you said, but to boost your metabolism.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
When I went to boot camp, I purposely gained a whole bunch of weight. I think I went from like 220 to 234, 236 when I went into basic training. And in 5 weeks, I started noticing. Now it was 10 weeks. It was 10 weeks of training. In 5 weeks, I started noticing change. In 5 weeks, I started losing weight. And when the 10 weeks was up, I went from 236 or 238 to 206. I lost over 30 pounds. And a lot of that had to do with not just exercising, but we can only drink water.
Wow.
We could only drink water. And the significant who loses 30 pounds naturally? Because if it was unnatural, I have sagging skin.
Mm-hmm.
It would be an external change more than an internal change. But
Right.
because it was natural, just the drinking of the water, oh my God. Like significant difference, significant change. So
we're gonna continue to do what we do. I'm Marquise.
I'm Samson.
Appreciate you, everybody. Listening to us. Please leave your comments, things that we could do better or worse.
And this
Peace.
has been another episode of Iron Sharpening Iron.